In this video I'll show you how to take your foam board, whether just plain paper or pre-covered with tape, and how to bevel the edge, how to depaper the correct area that's the top surface of the skin, and get it cut and ready to fold into an airfoil. Okay, so this is the crucial point to determine the chord of the wing and where to strip the paper from the inside and where to cut the trailing edge. So this wing on the bottom I'm using as the example. The chord is 7 inches plus the thickness of the foam, and what that means is from right where my thumb is to where the paper is cut on the inside to strip, plus this little radius right here, which is about the thickness of the foam. A little bit thicker depending on how you do it. So I'm going to cut this wing the same way, and notice that the color pretty much goes to 7 inches as well. There's a little excess down here. So 7 inches for the bottom, and that'll be the chord of this wing. And so that's 7 inches from right where I want the leading edge to be. The bottom surface of the wing happens to be right at the end of the yellow. Right at the end of the yellow. That's right there. That's kind of lucky on my part. Chances are you're going to end up cutting a little bit of the color off or leaving a little bit of the papered part there, and that's okay because it's going to be covered up later. Now this is a little different than the original video I did on the quick and dirty airfoil, where the measurement determined the top surface. In this instance, this cut is going to determine the chord of the bottom surface. Now the next improvement is intended to take this sort of square trailing edge and turn it into a nice taper trailing edge, which is actually at the point of transition it is just as thick as the foam board. One layer of foam board which transitions into your control surface made of the same piece. So we go from 2 thickness of foam board down to 1. So that's done by taking the other side of your bottom surface of the wing. This is going to be the trailing edge, and flip that over. We're going to have to strip a little bit of the paper off right here and sand that down in order to get that bevel right there. In this instance, we're going to just score the paper. Peel that off. And I use a drywall sanding sponge. Any kind of flat surface sanding unit will do. And we just want to bevel that at an angle down to the thickness of the foam. It goes right down to the paper, so there's just paper at the edge. So this has become beveled down just as this one has. So when the top surface of this wing folds down, it will engage that bevel like this. Okay, now we're going to score the paper at the transition between the upper and lower wing. That would be that little score in there if you've seen the previous video. At 7 inches from the actual trailing edge if you want a true 7-inch chord, not from the transition that you've already scored the paper. Now be sure not to pull this paper off. This is the bottom surface. You want to pull this paper off. That's the upper surface of the wing. It's going to receive the cambered curve, so the paper needs to be removed from the inside. Okay, so I flipped it around. There's the bottom inside surface. There's the top inside surface, so that's the part we peel the paper off of. Okay, and there's the transition line that I've drawn to distinguish the paper and the peeled part. And we'll just put that right there. And if you've got a buddy to hold it for you, that's cool, but if not, you can clamp it and use this is a piece of angle aluminum. It's pretty handy to use. You can use a piece of wood or anything. Just to reach under there, bend that over. Now you can see there's the bottom surface, the top surface, and the transition. So the paper goes to right there, and there's a little bit of extra distance from the radius. I like the leading edge to be a little sharper. In this instance, we'll just put that right down and clamp it. And if you do this, you'll want to clamp it not too far back, because the edge can crease the top of your wing, but clamp it right directly over the leading edge, at least halfway this end side of the straight edge, so it'll squeeze on the leading edge and not on the surface of the wing. And if you press it down, that'll reduce that radius noticeably. If you want it even sharper, you can just squish it down, and I like to leave that 15 minutes or so with a couple extra clamps. And you'll end up with a leading edge that's a little tighter radius like that.